What's going on, people of YouTube? I'm Steven with Purpose Lens Photo and Media, and today we're going to talk about RAW versus JPEG. Not really versus, but why you would want to use one and not the other, and what does it actually mean. Okay, so this is going to be for photographers out there. If you are into taking photos, let's say you're brand new, you just got your brand new A6400 or your Canon or whatever camera you got, you have an option in this camera, if you have a newer camera and if it's digital, to shoot one of two or both at the same time, different formats. You can shoot JPEG or you can shoot RAW. So first of all, RAW is when you take a photo, the light comes through the lens and it hits the sensor, and then the sensor transforms the light and all that information into digital information and stores it on an SD card. Well, in RAW, your sensor is taking all of the data and dumping it directly onto your SD card. So everything that you took a picture of comes from that sensor and it goes directly onto your SD card. So those are things like your highlights, your midtones, your shadows, and all the things that make up the picture. It's taking all of that information and putting it on the SD card. Now with a JPEG, what it's doing is it's cutting off parts of the picture that it doesn't use. So then what it does is it takes the picture and it compresses the picture, then stores it on the card. Now what compression is to make a file smaller so that it can fit, you can fit more pictures onto your SD card. So you may think, well, what's the difference and why would I want one over the other? So I'm going to start it off with saying this. If you are brand new at shooting, you definitely want to shoot RAW. Now, RAW does take a little bit more when you're taking photos as far as processing. So when you take a photo in RAW, you put it on your computer may not even be able to read that file without a program like Lightroom or any other photo editing app like either Lightroom or Photoshop or some of these other ones that are out there. So you may need a driver to just view it on your computer, or you may need a program to even look at a RAW file. Now, once you have a RAW file, it's not going to have a bunch of colors and it's not going to look vibrant. It isn't going to look good because it's coming straight off the sensor. And now the thing with RAW is it allows you a lot of room to change different aspects of the picture. So you can do things like your hue, your saturation, your highlights, your midtones, your shadows. There's a lot more that you can play with within your program if you have shot in RAW. Now, the other thing with RAW is the files are bigger because it's not compressed. Remember we said compressed was making files smaller so that they can fit on the card. You can fit more of them. Where RAW is the opposite. You're going to take up more space. You're not going to get as many photos because you're taking more information, all of the information off that sensor and putting it directly on the SD card. Now on the flip side, JPEG is just the opposite. You're taking smaller photos and it's compressed and putting them on the card. Now, when you put them into your editor, you're not going to have as much room to play with them. They're going to start to fall apart and look really bad and grainy if you try to go too far with the highlights, the midtones, the shadows, the saturations, the hue. Any of that stuff is going to start to look weird if you try to go too far with JPEG. So now you may be thinking, well, why would I want to shoot a JPEG if it's a lower quality? And if, you know, why would I do that? Why wouldn't I want the highest quality? Well, that's a great question. One of the reasons why you would want JPEG over RAW is if you need to shoot an event and deliver it immediately. That means like right away. Let's say you need to shoot something and you need to have it delivered that same day within an hour or so. This is when you're going to want to shoot JPEG. Now, I will say this. If you're shooting JPEG, you have to know what you're doing. You want to know what you're doing both ways, but especially with JPEG. And the reason why is because what you see is pretty much going to be what you get. Now, unless you're a master at Photoshop and things like that, you're not going to be able to, again, play with as many aspects as you would if you were shooting RAW. So again, if you shoot JPEG, you want to make sure that you're good at shooting JPEG. But that's one of the reasons why is because it's going to give you a quick turnaround time. Another reason why is because you can fit more photos on there. Let's say you're going to be delivering a bunch of photos to a client. You can take all of those JPEGs, put them in a smaller form, whether it be on like an SD drive or upload them, and it's going to be a lot faster because the files are smaller. So those are some advantages to JPEGs. Now, why would you want to shoot RAW? Okay, so if you wanted to shoot RAW, one of the reasons would be, because that doesn't make any sense. One of the reasons you would shoot RAW is if you're doing something like a headshot, if you're doing like a wedding, things where you're going to be going in and changing a lot of the details, and you're going to want to have really high quality images. And the time that it takes for you to turn around doesn't need to be a split second. That's when you want to shoot RAW. Also, too, if you're going to be wanting to print things out, you're going to want to shoot RAW too, because that's going to give you a lot more latitude and things that you can do with manipulating the photo before you print it out. So that's one of the reasons you may want to shoot RAW. Now, if you're new and you're saying, well, I don't know how to process, I don't know how to edit yet, that's fine. This is the next setting I will suggest. So most modern cameras, if they're digital, you're going to have an option to shoot both RAW and JPEG at the same time. Now, the benefit of this is if you have a client where you need the photos delivered right away, you have those JPEGs on the same card as the RAW files. Now, those RAW files are there, but they're not going to be processed yet. So you're going to have to take those later and process those. So it gives you the best of both worlds. Now, the only thing is you're going to have an SD card or a card that's big enough to house all of these files, because you're not just going to be saving RAW and you're not just going to be saving JPEGs. You're going to be saving RAW and JPEG at the same time. So you want to make sure you have the capacity to be able to do that. So again, folks, I'm going to be doing a lot more of these videos, just little tidbits on Wednesdays, just little tips here and there. Hopefully this video was helpful. If it's been helpful to you, all of these videos, feel free to subscribe. Click below, click the subscribe button and the notification button. Remember, every Wednesday, every Sunday, there's going to be a new video, and they're all to help you. Again, thank you to all my subscribers, those who have been faithful since day one. And until next time, I'll holler at y'all later. I'm out. Peace.